everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in my kitchen and I'm gonna show you right here how to make an ice cream cone melting dripping onto your cake. So here we go. So for your cone, you're going to need to make the ice cream scoop like a cake pop. So we're gonna have not a ton of frosting, but some. I'm gonna add my cake strips and I'm going to mush it all up into like a cake pop form. I've got everything in the bowl here, and I just want to show you that you need about double in volume the size that you want your ice cream scoop to be. So I've added, we're coming up on, I don't know, maybe a cup and a half of cake. It's about a half of my 8-inch round, and then I have about maybe a quarter to a third a cup of frosting. So I'm going to mix this all up and combine it so that it is able to be like a cohesive, stuck together cake pop type ball. I have this all mixed up, and it is just a little bit more than what I need the ice cream scoop to be once I get it dipped, because I'm going to add some of this into the inside of the cone so that it has a little bit of anchoring once I get it in the dipping process, because I don't want it like plopping out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to form this into a ball and then also kind of like a tail to fit into the cone. Okay, so I have this, it's still pretty soft. If you need to, you can put it into the fridge or freezer to kind of harden up so you can form it. But I just wanted to show like how big it is. It's fairly large for a standard size waffle cone, and the reason is because when we go to stick the cone on top, which I'll show in a second, this cone just wants to really inhale a lot of the size, and you don't want to compromise the shape of a perfect ice cream scoop on top either. So I will reposition and kind of show you how much extra is going into the cone. I just set this straight in, and you can see a lot of it has gone down inside of the cone, and I still have a really nice, pretty sphere shape on top, hanging over like a normal ice cream would. We'll have a little bit more volume once we get it dipped, but I'm going to go ahead and just turn this, and I'm going to let it cool and harden on a sheet upside down, because I need the top to be flat for the cake. So, and then I'll take the cone off. I'm not going to leave the cone in there either. I don't want it to get soggy. So that will be the next step before we dip it into our candy melts. I'm taking it gently, turning it over, because it's going to be like this. And you can see that funny little shape is how much is inside. So we'll still leave it this shape to harden, and then we'll dip it in this shape as well. So while my cake pop is chilling, I'm going to go ahead and do the drip for the cake. This is about a half a cup of candy melts, and I'm going to pour over some hot milk. I did start with a quarter cup, so it was a 2-to-1 ratio, and I quickly realized as it was melting that it was too much liquid. If you can catch it in this stage, and if you can be smarter than me in this moment, you can go ahead and pour some of that liquid out. I ended up with half a cup of melts to 2 tablespoons of hot milk. And so it was more like a 4-to-1 ratio, which worked well for this drip with that brand of candy melts. As I'm getting my cake ready here and everything, here's the consistency that we're at for the drip. It has cooled, so it's not going to melt my buttercream. You bring your spoon over to the edge and you just slowly pour it down. And I do start right at that corner and then let it fall over. I don't do drip cakes very often, and there are a couple of ways to do a drip in general. This one tends to have a lot more coverage over the corner edge there, and you can just go around and kind of control, and it does have a bit more. If you don't like that and you want a cleaner drip, you can use a piping bag and go around and pipe it down the edge. This gives it a cleaner side, so you just have a little bit of a drip on the side, and it does not come down that side at all. It just stays on the top and comes over. This also will sometimes get you longer drips with a little bit more ease. The downside sometimes is just, getting the right amount so that you don't have them too long or too short. And while you can't necessarily control it more with a spoon, you can see the difference between the two designs. If you end up having some sort of gap here and you haven't finished filling it, go ahead and finish filling it. I do eventually go over this with a hot scraper because it was looking all wonky. Because I did it in a couple of steps, my bad, but however you decide to do the top, if you don't like the way it looks, you can use a hot knife just to scrape it flat. So as you see these two different two different techniques for the drip. If you end up having anything you don't like or like a mess like this, wait for it to harden and chill, and then you can scrape it off and save any weird parts that you don't like. I don't mind that I have two different techniques here. It doesn't bother me. It was all covered. So moving back towards our cone, I used colored cream this time because I'm changing the colors, and I put a lot less liquid because I do want this to be a bit harder. I dipped in my cake pop stick, stuck it into my mold, and then I also formed these creases so that I could have kind of that illusion of the ice cream cone having been scooped. So you can see this is a lot thicker. I am going to start by first coating my cone, and I'm going to put some on the inside so that I can get that form to stick to it and not slide around. I really want everything to stay in place. Once I coat the inside, I'm also going to dip it so that it has a little bit of that, like maybe it was on, right side up and then it went over to melt. So I do the inside and the outside both, and then I'm going to stick it back onto the cake pop that I have. And we're going to go ahead and instead of dipping fully with this, because honestly it's a little tricky in here, I'm going to use my spoon, and I'm going to go ahead and spoon some of the chocolate back up over the edge so I can get it all the way covering where I need it to be covered. So go ahead and do that, and then you can move on to the next step of putting it where you want on the cake, and then you're going to be adding your ice cream cone back on. And then we're going to do some of the final touches. As you can see, it does not look how it should, right? We need to finish this. So once you have it secure, it's starting to harden, it's where you want it to be. Use your spoon to come back over and put your chocolate around the edges so that it can all blend and be a little bit more seamless than all these separated parts. And I went ahead and did have to go around the whole cone. I actually went around twice to make sure you could not see that chocolate cake, because it does not give a solid of enough covering on the first round for it to be covered, and we don't want to see that chocolate. You do want to work a little quickly so that you can get each section to blend together, as you can see here, so it doesn't look like it went on in 4 or 5 different passes with a spoon. So that's how you want to get it all the way covered, and you get the nice shape that you're looking for. Again, you can go through and smooth things out more if you need to. Eventually I did, but that is the gist of how you're going to get it all the way done. I'm going to do some finishing touches here because, it needs it, and I'm not denying that at all. I just wanted to show quickly how you can get all of this done. As you can see, I smoothed out the top a lot more and got some more chocolate put on the top and everything covered a little better. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything that was in the video, whether it was the steps or the supplies or anything, comment below. I'm happy to answer questions. I do it in all of my videos. And give us a subscribe. We'd love to have you back. Thanks for watching, and happy baking!